From 8 here on Kiwi.
Surviving members of Cambodia's Khmer Rouge regime has finally got underway in Phnom Penh. The 4 defendants include the now 84-year-old Nguyen Kia, or brother number 2.
It's time for Eye on the World with Selwyn Manning at scoop.co.nz. G'day there, Selwyn.
Yeah, g'day Glenn, how are things?
Very good, thank you. And today we're looking at the trial of 4 leaders of Pol Pot's Khmer Rouge that have gone on trial in Cambodia this week.
Yeah, that's right. Now, most significant among them, Glenn, is this 84-year-old who's referred to as brother number 2. Now, he was basically, like it sounds like there, he was second in charge to Pol Pot, and his name is Nguyen Chia, and he is in this, he's one of the 4, but he's, you know, a lot of the spotlight's on him. Very frail, very old, obviously an old man now, but certainly the crimes that the Khmer Rouge committed between 1975 and 1979 are well and truly going to be aired again.
And how are they referring to this case?
The trial's referred to as case number 002. And there's a couple of other cases that are in the wings, but we'll talk about that a little bit more perhaps later on in this bulletin. But the Extraordinary Chambers of the Courts of Cambodia, now that's the name of the tribunal that has got the job of investigating, putting up to trial the allegations of the crimes against humanity committed while Pol Pot and the Khmer Rouge reigned upon, you know, its terror really upon the Cambodian people, like I was saying, between 75 and 1979. Now, their program basically was to roll the clock back to year 0 and re-establish some sort of agricultural communism. It was an extreme form of it, and many of your listeners no doubt know a fair bit about that. But the others, there's a clip there of the individuals that are standing trial. And they are also 79-year-old former president. His name is Sam Phan, 85-year-old ex-foreign minister, and he's brother number 3, and he's Leng Sari, and Leng Sari's 79-year-old wife, and now she was the former social affairs minister. Her name is Leng Tirith. So all of this is the spotlight has been on those. They appeared in the dock yesterday, Glenn, and there's significant media attention against above them.
And so, what specifically are they on trial for?
Yeah, well, where do you start?
Yeah,
I mean, it goes back to these the allegations of genocide, to the atrocities in the late 1970s. The judge, he kind of he said that the investigations and the atrocities they'll go into how it re-established this agricultural kind of society. One of the allegations, for example, were that the Communist Party of Kampuchea, remember they changed the name to Kampuchea, its criminal policies called for the evacuation of cities, the virtual enslavement of the entire population of the country, ruthlessly ran an inhumane agricultural cooperatives, factories and work sites. Anything or anyone that did not run to their agenda was considered a threat and were exposed of, Glenn, you know, killed by all sorts of means and tortured to death by many of them. So that's a basic summary of it.
But the investigation into the atrocities has come under some criticism recently.
Yeah, it has. Now, what's occurred there is remember I mentioned case number 3 and case number 4. Now, while this case number 2, that's currently before the courts, was being prepared, there were investigations into alleged crimes that would be aired out in case number 3 and case number 4. But there's been speculation, largely in the international media, that the UN-backed tribunal is going cold on those 2 latter cases, and that's causing considerable concern to many, particularly a New Zealand national, Rob Hamill, his brother, Kerry Hamill, he was murdered by the Khmer Rouge back in the late 70s. Now, his case came up, for example, during case 1, and that was against a significant character who was known as Dush, and he was seen to be responsible for millions of deaths. Now, he was tried, and he was he was convicted and sentenced of the crimes to 35 years. And there's a clip there of Rob Hamill actually speaking about that at the time.
My name's Rob Hamill, and my brother Kerry was sailing a yacht off the coast of Cambodia. Well, got blown into, we think, bad weather off to an island called Koh Tang Island, where his boat was attacked by a naval ship, and three on board. One was killed at that time, and my brother and John Dewhurst were taken back to Tulsing prison, where they were tortured and murdered and made to sign confessions they were CIA. And
that really does create a very much of a personal connection with the atrocities there to New Zealand.
Yeah, it does. It certainly anchors it back here. Now, as you heard there, Rob Hamill's brother Kerry, he was murdered by the Khmer Rouge after his yacht was blown off course, entered Cambodia waters, or then known as Kampuchea. Now, Rob Hamill, he applied again to testify at the remaining cases. That was case 003 and 004, but his application was blocked this time round by the investigating judges, and they deemed that and it's really playing around with words, but they deemed the definition of directly affected was open to reinterpretation. Now, the requirements of somebody to testify before these tribunals on these cases has to be directly affected by the crimes of those who are accused. So that word directly was really examined by the judges, and despite Rob Hamill being able to testify before case number 1, they've ruled his testimony out here, and so that adds to concerns that the judges are backing off, that there is a move, or some say a conspiracy, to back off having case 3 and case 4 aired before the tribunal. There are documents that Scoop has been leaked that we've published under public interest grounds. That basically mapped this out to a degree. But the speculation is ongoing in the media. It caused the United Nations, Glenn, to put out a statement a couple of weeks ago where it was saying in no way it was basically backing those cases not being aired. But that still, it reiterated too that the tribunal that was set up, certainly the courts that are looking at these cases are independent and do come under Cambodian law, and there are those who believe that many in Cambodia do not want to continue to air these cases.
Yeah, and while all that sort of legal wrangling is going on, I guess some of the more human stories can, I suppose, get lost.
Yeah, they certainly can. There's a clip here of Pol Pot, for example, and I guess in some ways it's kind of important to have a look at what came out of the man's mouth before he died. The number one leader, if you like. And in that clip, if we've got it running, there is Pol Pot. He kind of says, and I'll quote these, probably the best way. And he was interviewed to see what he what his take was on it after all of these years, just shortly before he died, and he said, first, my experience was the same of that of my movement. We were new and inexperienced, and events kept occurring one after the other, which we had to deal with. In doing that, we made mistakes, as I told you. I admit it now, and I admitted it in the notes I have written. Whoever wishes to blame or attack me is entitled to do so. I regret I didn't have enough experience to totally control the movement. On the other hand, with our constant struggle, this had to be done together with the others in the communist world to stop Kampuchea from becoming Vietnamese. So, in a way, Glenn, you can kind of see that's the end of Pol Pot's quote, that he was trying to explain, perhaps, after all of these years, but not necessarily remorseful about it.
Indeed. Well, Scoop, of course, will be following the developments over there in Cambodia very closely. Check it out. All the links and information up at scoop.co.nz, as well as this video once more. Selwyn Manning, thanks very much.
Okay, Glenn. Take care.